Hello, this is Max Rock. I just want to talk about a few free productivity tools. The first one is a pedal. The second one is a dial, a knob, or a dial. Where's that gone? There we are, the knob. And the third one is a 7 macro key and 2 knob wired keyboard. And the fourth one is a Bluetooth keyboard, exactly the same as the other one. It's got the 12 keys and the 2 knobs, but it's got 3 layers on it, so I'll talk about that through there. So the first one, when we come back to the foot pedal to begin with, one of the things is if you do auto hotkey, I can actually have something like Control plus Alt plus F is a text expander that I have for actually just putting my email address in. Now, if we just talk through that, you have these things called modifier keys, which is the Control, Alt, Shift and Win, and you can have them in combinations. You can actually have Control and Alt together, or Control and Shift, or Control and Windows, and then another key like an A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, or whatever. One that I've got through here is just Control and 3, which actually gives me a long date, and Control and 2 gives me a short date. And the reason I actually have the short date is that I find that's really good putting it into a file name. So when I'm working on a file continuously, I can see which date is the latest one that I've actually been working on. So I can go back to an earlier revision if I've done something stupid, which is not uncommon. So you have these modifier keys. So one of the things is you run out of modifier keys, as well as your modifier keys. I do a lot of Control and Alt and Control and Shift. Control, I've got my little pinky on, and then the next little pinky pushes on the Shift, and then I can reach across with my index finger and point to the R or the E or something like that. With Control and Alt, I've got the pinky on the Control key. The Alt is the thumb key, and then my thumb's on that, and then I use my index finger for the other key that I'm triggering off. So this is the thing, you've got these modifier keys, but if you run out of modifier keys, you see something like Control and Windows, I find them too close together. I don't find it's a comfortable thing. Holding 3 down together, so trying to do Control, Shift and Alt is also quite awkward because it sort of bunches all your fingers together. So what the foot pedal you can do is you can actually put another modifier on it. So you can actually say an F14 modifier. Now if we look at something here, here's one. So I've actually done this symbols, but this one here could also be written Control plus Windows plus E. So that's the one, reload script with Control plus Windows plus E, or it could be, I don't know if that's a plus or the, so these are ones that you can do, and this one here is the plus key, which I think is the Shift, and then and then you can put the F12 key on there as well, and then you do double colon, and then you actually say what you want it to do, so you can send that thing up there, or just put it into that, and it'll actually just write that out if you're in a text block like here. Control Shift F, and there it goes like that. So what it does is that you can suddenly have this modifier key called F14, so you can actually have Control plus foot pedal and then plus F key, and then that would do that expansion or whatever you want. But I did find, for me personally, it was an unnatural movement. When I'm doing things on the keyboard, I don't think I need to be moving my foot, although you can get keyboards with one of these which have got 3 or 4 pedals. Some of them have got, so there's one, but there's one. But I thought I'd try it out because Joe Glines talked about this, and he's a big auto hotkey advocate and talks about ways of doing productivity and stuff. And so I thought, worth a crack, give it a crack. Maybe there's a use for it. At the moment, I can't think of one. The thing which I find as well is all of my macros and things like that, the hotkeys I've built up over years. So anyone that I'm doing with the foot pedal are sort of later ones that I don't use that frequently, so it's not natural. The other thing that I found with the foot pedal is that I've got a carpet and it's a small foot pedal. There was a bigger one, I just went to the cheapest, smallest one, and it keeps on getting knocked around or it moves out of position. So if I was doing it and using it, I'd either get a board that I'd screw this to, or a big piece of carpet that I'd glue it to so it would stay in the same position all the time so that you'd use it. So that was just a commentary on that, and it was just maybe a little bit of an explorers. The knob, the button that I've got here, is actually they're using as a volume control, but I better plug it in. So I'm just going to plug this in there. Why is it I keep on hitting buttons on these other ones and it triggers things, so it's a bit of a pain. I do apologise. This one here, I'm just using it for scroll, so I turn one way and I turn the other one. Now the reason I got this was supposedly you could use it as a surface dial. Now if you look at a surface dial, I think from Microsoft it costs about $100 or $150 in New Zealand, and you've got a thing called a Surface Studio, which is a big screen that you can put this thing on, and then as you dial around it offers you different functions. So maybe it's a brush or maybe it's a pen that you choose. You press the button down and then you can choose the fineness or the thickness of the brush. You select that and then you can start drawing or doing. So it's an artist type thing, but you can program that button to do this. You can have it on the screen or you can have it off the screen to do it as well. And this one here has nice little increments through it, so I thought, oh, this might be a nice idea to do that with. As it is, I couldn't get the surface dial. Now, a thing with these devices, this one here, you go to this web page and you can actually sit here and it just says search the device. If I click on the device, we are paired to it. Now when we pair to it, it then suddenly says I can put something when I rotate the knob to the left. I can put something where I rotate the volume plus or minus. For the knob in the middle, if I press it down, I can actually have something on there. Then if I hold that down and rotate to the left, I can put something there. And if I hold down and rotate right, I can put something there. Now, you can put a password onto this, so you can add a password on. So, and apparently if you're outside your lock screen inside of Windows or something like that, if you hit your password button, whichever one it is, it should, and you're in the right thing, it'll put your PIN number or whatever in and open up your Windows if you want it that way. You can do a light, and again, if you see on here, there's a little flickering light all the way through there. And in the device options, this is where it has this surface dial mode. It's got these Chinese things, although I'm in English, and I can do a translate and find out what they mean, and there's some other ones, but I haven't been able to get these to work, so to me it's a bit of a disappointment. So I'm a bit sad with this because I haven't been able to get the notion of what it is. Now there's a little PCB printed circuit board inside here, and I'm wondering if I can flash some different code onto it that maybe I can reprogram it to something else. But at this point in time, it was just exploring, and for the cost, it's not a major. So that's one of the things which you'll find with the software that you get with a lot of these things. The software has some things that it can do, but there's no help file on it. So the only way where I've got information is actually by looking on YouTube things and finding other people who've fiddled and fumbled with things as well. I find the reviews are a bit rubbishy, since I think somebody's just fudging them. The next one that I want to go into, so that one is a little bit of a disappointment. The next one that I want to go into is this one here. So this is 2 knobs, 12 buttons. So when I got this one, and again, if you scroll down in a lot of these ones here, every time I hit a button, something happens. You'll find that these ones here usually have a link to where you can get the software for it. It's worth doing a virus check on them, although the ones that I've done, I did virus checks on and they all seem to be okay. Now, the other thing with this is that the program that you need to actually device. Now, this one came with a different program, and this is the program of what it looked like, and you connect it and you can see that it's connected on there, and then you can map your keys to whatever ones you want through here, and you can do it through here for the knob. So that's turning the knob left, turning the center, pressing down on the knob and right. So this works for some of these ones have 12 keys and they got 3 knobs, some of them have 2 knobs, some of them only have 6 keys and they have 1 knob. So there's a whole variance on these sorts of things as well. This one here, I'm not starting this program up, because if I start this program up and then I close it and I start the next one, freezes up my computer. So I'm just talking about this one, because this particular one works on both my devices. So you can see its device is disconnected, plug it back in, and it's connected again. Now, similar to the dial, when you actually choose selection, I do it on here. So if I'm actually going to go to layer 1. Now the nice thing with this, these are just black buttons, so you don't know what's on here at all. But if I go read the device, it shows me what I've got on all of these ones through here. So I'm just going to go on to, why isn't that doing that? Oh, because I'm in the wrong face. So if I go onto that, and if I go into this one here, at the moment this has actually got this one through here. So I'm just going to clear this button now. Now, one of the issues with this is that I just want to demonstrate this. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Then I'm going to go 2, 2, 2, C, 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 D, 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 and I'm going to download that onto that button. So it's downloaded that one button. So you've got to set up each button individually. Now, if I go into my document through here and I press that button there, you'll see it only does so many before it stops. Sorry, that one there, I've done something naughty there. Put it right in the middle of that. So if I just press that, it only does. It didn't do, cancel, you just drop that. It didn't do all of these other ones through here. Now, another thing I just want to know, when you're using the numbers, use the numbers with all of these funny asterisk things and everything. Don't use the numbers down here, they don't work. Use the ones. So if you're doing something like a control plus shift plus 1 or 2, use the ones here, then it works. So anyway, we're just going to clear that. So you can only do 18 characters. So if you wanted to do something like a web browser, you wanted a URL to do. So if I came into here and went into here and said V, we're going to put that one in there. Now if I do download, it says yeah, you downloaded. Now we're going to read the device and just see what comes up there. Reading the device, no, it doesn't accept it because we didn't put it in. Now if I'd have just done something mad through here, doing all of these ones through here, it'll download. So it will acknowledge those sorts of things only if you worked on the keyboard. So if you're trying to do a URL, you'll be mogadored. One, you'd take you ages. The other thing as well, you only got the 18 characters. Now I did see somebody who had actually really liked this and what it would do, but he was quite frustrated that it was only 18 characters because his email address was longer than that and he wanted one for his email address. And I suddenly thought straight away, auto hotkey. Another one that we can use is ones that I've talked of before, and that's on my playlist for here, which is free productivity tools, which is Max Launcher that you can get for free in there. So this one has 3 rows times 10 columns, and it's got 10 tabs. So over you've got 300. You've got 300 places where you can put something. So in here, if we just click on here and look what's happening there, if we just go edit to that, it says the target. So we got the name on here that we put on there. We can actually select an icon if we want. Then we can actually point it to the browser, and then we point it to the URL, and then we go OK. So if I just type A now, it will just open that up in my browser. Boom, straight away. Lovely. So because that's a lot more abbreviated, to actually get that to work, I've got to go Control and Spacebar. 1 to get me onto the first tab, and A. In fact, it's usually on the first tab, so I don't even think about that most of the time. So what I can actually do is inside here, I can actually go Control plus Space plus 1 just to make sure I'm in the right tab, and then I can go plus, let's go A, and then go Download. And now if I just press that button there, it now opens out a preview. So this is how we can get URLs, and some of the URLs can be very, very long, and you can most probably also, if you're using something like auto hotkey, you can nest a whole load in together. So I've got one here, and this is just a script, that if I do caps 1 enter, this is one in the morning, I actually open up and what do I do? I do a diary in the morning, and then I look at the news, I look at the weather, I look at a whole lot of different things at COVID and news around the world, and then I do some screenshots, and then also do some personal notes in spreadsheets and stuff for my diaries and expenses and stuff. So I can do all of that with one finger, you know, so that is just caps, and then this one here is just opening a script up, and that just opens up several things. Now you can do that as well if you actually just have something like here, we got the news folder, and you can just put a new folder with all the ones that you want in here, and then just open all in tabs. Now another one I just want to point out to you that I actually haven't got it quite figured out yet, but you need to actually have the shortcut key to get you into the address bar, and then if I type, so if I get into the address bar and I just type hi, enter, it brings me in a search phase. So if I'm looking for macro, and I go okay, it's now going to look through this page, and anywhere where it sees macro, which is not very often, let's go and refresh that page. It's good. So I just need to get into there. So I just need to open up my browser and do some things there. There's a way that you can do that. So this one here is using a thing called a JavaScript. So this is a bookmarklet that it's actually using. So if we look at the edit of the bookmarklet, it's just a long string of JavaScript that it'll do. And inside of Firefox, you can actually just have a keyword that you can actually put as a shortcut key. I don't think if you've used it once, you can't get rid of it, that I can figure out. Anyway, there's something that I can actually do to trigger up straight away. So I find this is really handy when I'm looking through a news article and there's been a bit of word or something that I want to track that as when it's used or when it's mentioned. It's very, very good for highlighting. Because this JavaScript, it just writes over the top. If you just refresh it, it just disappears straight away. So it just does a highlight. So you can use things like bookmarklets through there. Another thing that I use it for is a one that I've got, which is called Executor. So Executor is sort of like it's an app opener and does a few things. This has a lot of intelligence and can do a lot of things of checking up on your system and things like that. But what I use it for, I've got a few little abbreviations through here. So I'd use an alt plus spacebar, then I'd do a U, and then I'd say King Tides. And if I go enter, it'll go into YouTube and just start doing a search on King Tides. So that's on there. I've got another one. So let's just do some of these ones as an example. Now I can't do the JavaScript one. I think the JavaScript one that I've got there with the high one, I've actually got a little auto hotkey script that I just call that functionality. So inside of here, what I can actually do is that I can, instead of here, I'm going to open a program and then I'm running a URL. Inside of my auto hotkey ones, I'm actually just running a script. So I'm just pointing to a file that I'm just going to run. So inside here, I can go O, and it gives me crosshairs. And if I go Control, and then I'm on 2 already, and if I go P, it turns that one off. So I can run scripts and things like that. So I can easily use the same method to access things like the highlighter inside the browser as well. So that's another way of doing that. So the other one with the executor one, which I was going to do, was I was just going to clear that one there, and we're going to do another one which is alt plus space, and then I think it's going to be, I think I need to be M. I'm just going to do, where's it? And this is another quirky thing here. The keyboard here is A to M, N through to Z, so it's not a QWERTY one. So I wanted M through there, and I just want a space after that, and I'm going to download that. So if I actually hit that key there now, this comes in, and if I put an address, so I can actually have an address inside the clipboard, and I was suddenly thinking, where's that? I'm reading a newspaper article and it talks about some place in the world. I can actually just copy the address or the name of the country or whatever, and then I can actually just hit that thing there and go in and paste it, and it opens up maps for me straight away. So I find this is really good for me as I'm finding information. I think of something, most of the time you say, I can't be bothered going and opening maps and finding out where that is. You suddenly think it's easy to do. Just check up on it so you get information quickly. So when you do this one here, now when I was doing this one, I suddenly think, well, okay, what's this layery thingy here? And this only has one layer. So it has 12 keys and it has 2 knobs. Now basically, because each knob can go left and right and down, and that one has a mute, and this one goes left and right. I think this is brightness, dullness, and I think the last one has calculator on it. So it's the same as this knob here. So that one knob is the same as those two knobs, plus I get 12 keys extra. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Now the next one is this is the Bluetooth one. So it's identical to the one before, not as good as built, but it's got a nice feature that you can put the USB at the top, or you can put the USB in the side, the USB in the side, and there's got a button for switching between layers. Now, you see that it connected through there, so I've got that. So the nice thing with this is you're suddenly thinking, bugger, I can't remember what I'd actually got in here. So I can read the device and it tells me what all the keys are. I can go to layer 2, read the device, and it tells me what the things are. If I go to layer 3, read the device, it tells me what they are there. So if I can't remember what's on here, I can actually come back and do it. Now you only need this program for actually putting the keys, that you're mapping your keys onto the device. After that you turn this thing off. You don't use it again unless you want to go and check what you've got. Now the problem with that is these have just got black keys, but you can pop the key off of these quite nicely, and you can switch them over. I think they're called hotkeys or hot things or something, or I don't know. But what you can actually do is that you can go and buy some transparent tops. So if you wanted to actually just put whatever the key mapping was onto the ones for, maybe if you've got a 3-layer one, then you can actually just get these transparent ones and actually just write some little notes or put some, make some graphics on them to make them quite pretty. So that's quite good. So this is where this one has the 3-layer function, is it allows you to do 3 layers all at once. So now if you are in Bluetooth mode, the pretty lights don't come on at the back supposedly. But if you're also in Bluetooth mode, if you're not, you need to be in wired mode to be able to write your things onto your keyboard. Now a couple of things that I find a bit of a pain for both this one and the other one is that if I come into the red LED stuff, the LED doesn't work. Now I did go and look on a few, I started to look on a few other ones on here, going and looking at the information through there and getting different software links down to there and getting the stuff. And when I looked on them, there's a little Word document. In fact, I think I've got the Word document there, and it sort of says, look, this is what it does for the thing. LED mode 0 means there's no lights. LED 1 means there's steady on lights on all keys. LED 2 is fast glow from first to last. LED 3 is fast glow from last to first. LED 4 is light up when press single key. LED 5 is white lights. So you normally just, from what I can understand, basically you select one sort of layout. So we go LED mode 1 red and go download, but it doesn't happen. Nothing happens through here. Now, I find that really frustrating. Now, two little things with design issues with this. The layer keys are in the middle here. Now, if you've got it up vertically, you can actually see when it goes through the different layers. But if you're in a laying mode, if you've got it in the flat mode like that, you can't actually see because the knobs are in the way, so that doesn't work. So I was hoping to be able to use the lighting of the keys to be able to illuminate with the LED, so that you knew if it was red that you were on layer 1, and if it was green then you're on layer 2, and if it was blue then you're on layer 3, to indicate that. But I haven't been able to get the lights to work on any of these, so I'm a bit frustrated by the fact that these two do that. So whereas this one here, if I go back to the dial, you'll see the LED does work quite nicely on it, and I think I set it out for blue to begin with. So overall, a bit frustrated by that. I don't think it'll make it do. Now, so overall I've talked about the 3 different things, or the 4 different things that we've got there. Now I just want to talk about price point through here. For the foot pedal, that cost me $15 New Zealand, so that's about $7.50 US. The knob cost me $18.50 New Zealand, so what's that, $9.25 US. And that I got because I thought I could get the Surface dial to work, and it didn't. Now this one here with the 7 keys and the 2 knobs, when the 2 knobs basically do the same functionality as that, plus you get the 12 keys on top of that, cost me $25. So that was a third more than what this was. So that's $25 New Zealand. So that's equivalent to, what's that, $12.50. And this one here, which has got me the 3 layers, so it's got 12, 24, 36 keys, and it's got the 2 knobs times 3, so 6 knobs. That cost me $26. So that was 13 U's there. So basically, for a third more, I've got 36 keys, plus I've got another 4 knobs on the things as well. Now, what to me I love dearly with this is that I'm a lefty, so I don't have to, I can actually map things. So I think on layer 1, if we just go and reading the device and I go and pop that into layer 1, I've got things like delete and backslash, because otherwise I've got to reach my left hand right away across the screen to touch those buttons over there, whereas in fact I've usually got the right hand hand on the mouse, so I'm only usually using one hand on the keyboard unless I'm just doing some serious typing, in which case I'll take my hand off the mouse and do a lot of typing. So from a leftist point of view, I find this brilliant, but I suppose if you're a righty as well, you can have it over that side to do some of the things. I think from the point of view that I don't do that much video editing, and I don't do that much audio editing, and I don't do that much photoshopping type thing, the knobs are maybe not as important. I just really wanted to explore them because maybe they would work for me in something like AutoCAD and in Revit for the BIMs and stuff like that, for zooming in and zooming out, and maybe doing pans or things, or doing some other things. But I don't really know because I haven't been playing with that for a little while. So there is potential there for some of these. Now, one of the negatives that I can see on this sort of thing here is that you've got to kind of do it button by button to set it up, and then you don't end up with a file that you can suddenly say, well, okay, then I've got another file I can substitute for that file, so I can give it another keyboard mapping. So basically it takes a long time to actually set it up, but once it's set up, it's there, so I can actually unplug this from here, go and use it on another computer in my office or something like that, and then they work all the same as long as I've got the software that it's calling to, which it has. It's got all of my computers have got the Max launcher on, so therefore they're all linked together quite nicely. So this is the power of these things, and is that they work across devices because the software is actually sitting on them. Now, as I said, the negative part is the software's on them. So if you actually wanted to suddenly saying, okay, then I wanted a different configuration, or I wanted something specific to a specific program, like Revit, like AutoCAD, or I wanted to do a whole lot of Excel things with fast keys and things and stuff that I could map towards all of those, then I'd really have to look at building something for that and doing it. This I'm just using in a general thing for most of the stuff I use on a daily basis. Now, based on that, another thing I just want to make a comment on, one of the things that I got before I got these was I ended up with a Elgato Stream Deck Mark II. Now, these are quite powerful little tools. Now, if you look at the price of those, so that's 280 New Zealand dollars, so that's 140 US through there, and you do get ones with knobs, and there's also foot pedal ones as well. Now, the nice thing of this is if I just go into desktop, you see it brings me to a front home screen where I've got the browser button that I can go in and do things to. I don't know why it's doing that. And these other ones, so I can go into an area which will do other specific things. I don't know what that mapping's doing through there. Now, the interesting thing with this is that if I suddenly go into, I don't know why that's doing that. It's acting a bit weird now, this. Why is that acting weird? Usually, and it was doing all right before, I might actually have to reboot that up, is that if suddenly I open my browser, it shows me the browser interface straight away. There we are. So if I'm here, that's one thing, and then if I go into my browser, so if I go into my browser, straight away it shows me all my browser tabs, and then I've got other ones where I can go into a whole load of other tabs which are also browser ones, so I can drill down, and you can go down through several levels of these. Sometimes people don't want to go down through several levels, so they go to another one which actually has more buttons on the interface. But what this is good for is that if you've got a specific program, you can actually have one button on the home screen that takes you to that program, something like VS Code or Revit or AutoCAD or something like that, and then once you end up with it, that then takes you to that. As soon as you start on that program, it'll suddenly open up the home screen for that program for all the hotkeys you have for that, and you can drill down several levels for those. So this has several layers in behind it, so that's why it's a lot more expensive. But I would have liked to have actually started off on a cheapie first, to actually explore some of the things before I actually went into a full device. So I'm sort of doing things backwards in a way. And as I said at the beginning, this is a free productivity tool playlist that I have, and I've also talked about the Stream Deck. I've also talked about a text which is not totally free. This cost me $5 a year, but it's of such great value that I find it's good. So as well as using that, I've also got this one here, which I can actually have scripts in a whole lot of different languages to use. So although there are some price points with these, I think these are cheap enough to do. I also think if I was going to have one that was specific for a particular program, I think they're so cheap, I would actually just have one that I was set up for a specific program, and it's so easy to just plug it in. You know, like it's unplugged and then you plug it into another one, or else you Bluetooth it as well. So for me as a lefty, first of all, but not really as a lefty overall, I just find it as an extra convenience that I can actually map some of the keys, like you are constantly using delete and backslash and things like that, or maybe the enter key, and especially since I'm using a laptop, my enter key is on the right. As it is, I've actually remapped my tilde key to represent enter, so I don't actually have to reach all the way across the other side of the keyboard with my left hand to actually hit the enter key. I can actually just use tilde instead. But that's something which I did in auto hotkey, which was suddenly saying, well, I don't use the tilde key that often, so I'll just use that. And if I do use the tilde key, I can actually just go into here, because it just runs the auto hotkey scripts in the background. You can actually just go pause the script, and then use the tilde as tilde, and then once you unpaused it, it goes back to being that hotkey of whatever, it's the enter key coming through. So there's a lot of things that I find you can just adapt to actually make things an awful lot more efficient. But these, for value for money, really, you know, and I must admit, like if we look on here, for this one here, this one's $25. If we look on the equivalent on this page here, which is the Bluetooth one, it's $35. Now, as I said, I paid, so if I paid 26, then I'd most probably paid 23 for it, and then the other 3 was tax. So I was just looking for a bargain, so I kind of kept my eyes open and kind of just kept on exploring these things until I found the one that I want. This one here is a slightly better build, and I thought I was buying one to this quality, and this quality is slightly less, but overall I'm very happy with it. For if I, instead of paying 35, I paid 23, or you know, so that'd be 38 or something, which I pay with GST. So with a combination, I think on its own, if you're just using it on its own and you're just using this thing here, the limit of 18 characters can be a real problem. But if you're using it in combination with either auto hotkeys, you're using it in combination with something like the Max Launcher or a text, then you know, you're basically covered. That whatever problems you have with a certain limit on some of the things inside here as far as characters go, you can resolve that in the other programs as well. So you can reach your URLs, you can go and find your websites, you can go and do your searches and things like that, which I find is really handy, you know, cutting and pasting and going looking up words in DuckDuckGo. As I'm doing an article, I've got a little bookmark that triggers that one off. I just copy it and then I just go and bookmark it, and it goes and finds me stuff. and I find it's good. That means when I'm reading the articles, I'm getting a little bit more depth out of it than if I was just suddenly thinking, oh, it's too much effort to go and find that bit of information out. So I would recommend this really for if you're going to go, you're spending and you're going to be careful in your spending. I would say I went backwards really. I got a foot pedal that didn't really do anything for me. I got a knob that didn't do anything for me, and then I got this. I got the first setting of this, and then I got this. So I graduated up. And what I'm suddenly saying was, for basically $13 US, if you can get one of these, you wouldn't need those other devices, but they were they weren't a big outlay, and I can still use them for other things, and I can still explore if I can do some of the things. As I said, the only thing which I'm having a problem with is the lighting isn't lighting up, which I'm finding on both of these devices. I think I may have to reboot my computer and run this other program and see if the lights work in there. But I think I tried it before and I don't think they did. Now, overall though, apart from that, I'm very happy with these. Now, because I'm not going to go and buy myself another set of caps for all of these, I might actually just get a label maker and stick a couple of things on there. I can actually colour them red or something like that and then peel them off. Or the other one that I do is I only actually use a couple of keys at a time. And once I'm used to using those keys enough, and I think there's somebody said, to kind of break a habit takes 30 days, like giving up smoking or something like that. But it's a certain number of times you use something until it becomes familiar enough that you can remember what it is. So, I would actually just learn on a couple of keys. I just suddenly have 2 or 3, like Control-Shift-1, which is what I've got for my screenshot there. I'll remember that one, and then the fact that 2 and 3 is delete. So once I get familiar with a couple of them, I then move on to the other one through there. Now at the moment I've got this program here pinned onto here. Once I'm used to it, I'll actually just store it somewhere and won't think about it because I've got this mapped as to what I actually want. If I've then got something like I'm doing an awful lot of heavy Excel stuff and suddenly think, well, actually I want something to do with a whole lot of hotkeys and stuff with that, I can most probably set some of those up on one of the macros. So that's actually quite nice of actually purchasing 2 of them. Although this has got 3 layers, I can actually use this other one as a sort of a test one. So I can try it out on different programs and suddenly saying, oh, well, I can use this with Excel and maybe Google Sheets or something, and then just pull up and fire those things up because I use a couple of sheets continuously for things that I'm doing. Or there's other programs that I'm actually doing that I can have intensive keys that can just map to them. And if there's enough of them, I'd actually suddenly thinking, well, I'd almost purchase a device for it. I've got quite a few of these wired up. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 different things wired up to my computer because I've got a dock on it. So, but if you're limited by the number of ports you've got, then obviously I would actually recommend going to the Bluetooth option. And if you can get your lights working, just be aware that the Bluetooth doesn't, if you've just got it on Bluetooth, it doesn't work with the lights. So I hope you found that of interest. If you found it useful, please give a thumbs up. If not, Opanya. Thank you very much for watching.